Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining me this Friday afternoon in the Locker Room. I'm Alan Locher. Emmy Award-winner Real Andrews is known to daytime television fans for his roles as Hal Michaels on Days of Our Lives, Lieutenant Marcus Taggart on Port Charles and General Hospital, Dr. Walker Daniels on As the World Turns, and Dr. Keith Campbell on The Bay. There seems to be a pattern there. Real is a father of three, a husband, an actor, author, speaker, and transformational coach. Today, he will reminisce about his daytime roles and share his passion for physical training and creating champions through sharing his own personal experiences, workout secrets, and developing strategies to help every person he encounters to succeed in achieving wellness within their mind, body, and spirit. Real takes his message and formula for whole health on the road, where he shares his whole health wisdom and knowledge with the world. Please welcome to the Locker Room, Real Andrews.
Hey,
my
everybody.
friend.
How are you, champion? How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I am blessed and grateful to be here.
Good. How are you feeling?
I feel phenomenal, dude. You know, my new thing now is I'm 58. I look 48. Wow. I feel 38. I run like I'm 28. And my wife says I'm acting like I'm 18. So,
you know, that's great. I'm not far behind you. I'm at 55. Had 2 hip replacements a few years ago. So being able to go out running feels like I'm, 18, the fact that I can do it. But
I got 3. I got 1 up on you.
3
hip replacements.
You did?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
What was yours from? I mean, mine was arthritis.
Yeah, mine too. I had bone on bone, and then my left one I had done first, and it was a mess. And it went bad. And that was a big part of me becoming addicted to opioids. And then I got it done again eventually, and it was awesome. And then the other one, they both had to be done from the start. And now I'm like the bionic man.
Wow. So the pain from that is the opioid addiction came from that? You were taking those?
Yeah, that was a big catalyst. And like, as you know, like when it's done right, it's not pain. But the first one, and what you don't know, you don't know. I mean, I was in level 12 pain for like 3 years, and they just kept giving me, Norcos. And, some people can only take those once and they're addicted, but you're certainly not taking them for 3 years and not getting addicted to it. So I got pretty heavily addicted to painkillers. Yeah.
Wow. And you're sober, so that's the most important thing. But for me, best thing I ever did was have those, because leading up to, I could, my sister would look at me from behind and say, "You walk like an old man," and that was, I could barely, do things. So must feel, it gives us life, right?
Yeah, and they're good. I think they say they're good for like 15 years or something, right? So
I'm praying a lot longer, but yes, that is what they say. But yeah, I'd rather not do it again. But if we have to, we have to. So what was Real Andrews like as a child?
I was like, for the most part, I was a pretty good kid, I guess. Got into trouble like most kids, and I was very driven at a young age. I didn't know it then, but I know it now. I had, we grew up on the other side of the tracks. I was an only child. I graduated from a class of 1,200 where I was the only African American. And, once again, I didn't know it as racism and bullying and stuff like that. I just thought kids were mean. But, looking back, there was definitely, that stuff going on. But, I had amazing parents who, my mom every night would say, "Don't dream tonight, son, dream big." My dad taught me there's no such word as CANT. He taught me I don't make excuses. I don't take them, not even good ones, not even justified ones. He taught me one more rep. My mom taught me always finish what you start. So I had those kinds. You can see those things are embedded in me today. Like still, I mean, those were, I like to say I didn't have a lot, but I had a lot. as a kid. You
Interesting.
know what I mean? I didn't have material things per se, but I certainly had a lot of love, which is more important. And I had a lot of support.
Totally. But did you say you were one of the only black kids in your class?
I was the only.
Wow.
Yeah, in our class growing up. That's how I became an actor, really. When they were
became an actor or an athlete?
An actor. Well, athlete was just, that was a natural thing. But back then in Vancouver, Alan, at the time, they were, if you remember back then, we're going to the 80s.
Yeah.
81 to be specific. And Vancouver was becoming Hollywood West at that time. They were starting to make a lot of movies up there because of the tax credits, blah, blah, blah. Studios were coming up and all of that. And they came to town. They needed a young black kid for this movie. Like I said, there wasn't a lot where I grew up. They went around to the schools and found a few of us to come in and audition. And I said, yeah, why not? And I got the part. And that was my first acting job.
And which one was that?
That was Harry Tracy Last Desperado with Bruce Dern.
Wow. That's not a bad actor to be in your first picture with.
I know, right?
Yeah. That's pretty darn good. Before that started to happen, what was your plan? I mean, did you want to be an athlete? Did you?
Yeah, no, I had no aspirations to be an actor, none whatsoever. My vision was my way out. The dream that I had to get out and buy my mom a house, and so she wouldn't have to work 3-4 jobs, and all of that kind of thing, was to make the '84 Olympics as a sprinter. I was very gifted. I was incredibly fast. And that was my way out, because back then you made it to the Olympics, you win a gold medal, you're getting a huge endorsement campaign for millions of dollars. And back then, millions of dollars in my life was my way out. Like it's, you hear the stories, it's football or basketball or whatever. For me, it was track. I was going to make it to the Olympics and win a gold medal. And my dream was to win 4. 4
gold medals?
Huh?
4 gold medals you wanted, not just one?
No, I was going to win one for the 100 meter, the 200 meter, 4x1, and the 4x2.
I like those goals. How did you realize you had that talent? Just in high school sprinting, or?
Yeah, I mean, I remember back as far as like elementary in what was it like? What did they call it? Sports day or something? When you'd get teams together, and I just was always winning everything. I was just fast. It was just a natural gift that I had. And as you got older and older, you started to realize, and then I started to learn about this stuff. And I mean, I ran barefoot till I was in grade 7. I still have my original pair of track shoes downstairs. I keep meaning to bring them up, because I'm always talking about it on Zooms.
That's amazing.
But I have them because that's how big of a deal it was for me. I mean, I have my original tracksuit that my mom made for me, because my mom didn't want me to be made fun of, but we couldn't afford the nice Nike and stuff, so she would make me tracksuits. I still have one of the tops out there.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
That's a way to teach your kids, It's a great lesson. You don't need much, you can make things like that, and teaching you can't isn't a word is, great. But it was an injury that sidetracked you, correct?
Yeah. What happened was I pulled my hamstring. I was at 13, and then I got that role, Harry Tracy Last Desperado. I met a guy, Jacob Rupp, and he was head of Stunts Canada, or they were called Stunts Canada. And he said to me, he was actually my stunt double on that show. He was a white guy. They made him black and put an afro on him. It was a funny deal. And he said, because that wouldn't fly now. And
No, that would not fly.
no,
That is
that
exactly
wouldn't.
what was going through my head.
Yeah, no, that wouldn't fly for a while. But he said to me, he said, "Hey, have you ever?" He said, "You're athletic. You're black. There's a lot of movies coming up here. There's always, and back then, every movie obviously has a bad guy, and of course the bad guy is black, of course, back then, of course." And so he said, "Have you ever thought of doing stunts?" And I was like, "No." And he said, "We would train you, we'd teach you how to do it." And he was like, "You can make a lot of money." He said, "You'd work a lot." And I was at that age. I just had a pulled hamstring. I wasn't getting faster. In fact, I was going the wrong way. And I was kind of like, well, could possibly make it to the Olympics. And if I did, I might win a gold medal. And then I might get a campaign, or I can do this and make a lot of money now. So, and I made a decision. I pivoted. I started that direction. And, just to show you how amazing my parents, my mom specifically, basically, she worked 3-4 jobs just to do everything that I could pursue my dream to make it to the Olympics. And when I said I wanted to be an actor, it wasn't the old, "How could you? I've done sacrifice all this and blah, blah, blah." It was like, "How can I help you to do that? What do I need to do?" Just like that. That's the kind of support I had,
And so you did stunt work for a while, correct?
Yeah, I was the first African American stunt man in Canada.
Wow.
Yeah. And so I did it for a long, because, when you can, and still even today, I haven't done it in a long time because I've graduated to leading roles, obviously. But it was a great way because whenever, it starts like, well, if you're a stunt man, then they got to have a bad guy or some guy that says, "Wait, stop." You got one line or one word, and then you get punched or something. So, I'm going to get those roles. And then you get the under 5. They need a guy that, not just a stunt man that can take a punch and say one word. They need somebody who can kind of deliver 5 lines. So then I was good. So I could say the lines. So I got those. And then I got small, co-star roles, and then
Go.
co roles. And then I got my big break on a show called Night Heat, which I played a million bad guys on. They blew me up. I OD'd. They shot me. They killed me. And then, because they only had a certain talent pool out there in Canada to pull from. So they were always recycling the actors. And then finally I got the lead. It was a lead character. It was this psycho Rambo dude who was
a Canadian police drama, right? Night Heat.
Right. Yeah. Night Heat. And it was probably my worst acting role ever, because I really didn't. I wasn't. I had talent, but I hadn't been taking any acting class. I wasn't ready to have a full leading role, and it was a really good role, and it needed a lot of depth and different ranges and colors, and I just played one flipping note the whole time. I was like all way over the top, psychotic, crazy guy running around with a machine gun, just wanting to kill this poor girl. One note performance, and it's just like it's like if I could, I would just buy every piece of that film up and burn it if it hasn't already been. But you know what? It launched my career, man. So
hey, that's what counts. Did you eventually take classes to help yourself?
Oh yeah. When I moved from Canada to Hollywood, now I'm serious. So when I moved to Hollywood, I'm here with the big boys now. I'm going to get an agent. I'm going to get in acting classes. I'm going to that's the way I roll in everything I did. When I made that this isn't fun anymore. I'm going to do this for real. And for me, it happened. It was like, I remember I was doing a film called, well, that was the beginning of it. But I was doing a film called Space Hunters 3D with Molly Ringwald. And I was an extra, AKA stuntman. And that's when I was starting to get the big vision to go to Hollywood. And at a young age, I learned that when I really want to do something, I proclaim it publicly because it makes me accountable. And so I actually was at lunch one day, and there were these actors and stuntmen and bigger people. And I said, and they were talking about Hollywood. And I was like, I'm going to go to Hollywood one day, and I'm going to walk on the red carpet. And they were like,
what is this kid talking about?
Yeah, they laughed at me, Alan. And I remember this one guy said, dude, less than 3% of SAG even makes a living. And there's no work for black actors, dude. Just stay in your lane. And I was like, I literally like looked at him. I didn't say anything. And I remember in my head, the shark eyes just went. And I was
you have to put it out into the universe.
Yeah. And I said, well, I'm going to be part of that 3%. And, the rest is history. 27 years later, I became an overnight success on General Hospital and Soldiers of Fortune. But yeah.
I mean, do you remember what you first did when you arrived in California?
Very much so, yeah. I literally, I had met a guy on Police Academy 4 or 5. He was a stunt coordinator. I was doing stunts on that show. He said, hey, if you ever come to California, you can hang your hat at my house. He's a cowboy stuntman kind of guy. I literally hung my hat at his house for 5 years. But I remember the very first time I got there, I got out to his house. I had rented a car, and next thing I know, I was on Hollywood and Gower on the corner, basically with a that Thompson Guide map book.
Yeah.
A Thompson Guide map book. I bought the agency.
Like a guidebook for agents?
Yeah, agency thing. And I started walking from Gower down Sunset. I'd set up a couple appointments. And I was literally like this guy with like one outfit and a Thompson Guide and a thing. And I walked, and I had about 6 or 7 appointments set up that day. And they all didn't go very well. And the very last one was with Scott Manners at Stone Manners. And he said, I'll sign you. And that was it, dude. I don't know why I get emotional about that. But
yeah, I mean,
I was crazy. Like dude.
For fans watching, a Thomas Guide is basically a map. In California, I don't know why it was called that, but it was the Thomas Guide, and everybody had one in their car.
Yeah, it was before GPS or any of that. But yeah, it was literally like, dude, I just was, and it was one of those things, Alan, that if I didn't find an agent that day, sorry, I've never really got emotional about this before, but I literally came there with not a lot of money, and it was like that typical story, dude. It was like I put everything I had into that, and
but you were on a mission. I mean, to have you had the guide, you had your map, you were you weren't just waiting for somebody to discover you.
I was determined. I was going to make it happen.
Right, you were not going to let it be decided without your help.
Yeah, I wasn't. I was just not making it was not an option for me. It never has. It never has been in anything I do. It's like, I just, I don't. Once I make my mind up to do something, I'm not gonna not succeed.
And what was your first? Do you remember what your first thing you got while in California?
I do. I want to say, you know what? It was.
What year did you?
Postcards from the Edge, or Born on the 4th of July.
Oh, just those two small films.
Yeah, I got right in. I remember Postcards from the Edge was a trip because it was like I landed
because it was Princess Leia.
Yeah, I landed this great role, and now Carrie Fisher throws a party for the cast at her house, and it's like, I mean, and I'm just new off the boat, and I'm at this I mean, Tom Hanks, Jack Nicholson, Penny Marshall,
I knew you were going to say Penny because they were.
I mean, they were all there. Think of John Cusack. I mean, you name it, they were at that party. Wow. And here's a trip. One of the reasons I decided that really got me fired up of being an actor was Jack Nicholson, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. That movie, when I saw that movie, I was like, oh man, that's what I want to do, man. I just and I liked, those wacky, that's my kind of thing, playing quirky guys. And so I hadn't seen him yet, but I'm just like this little kid, like, oh my God, it's like one A-lister after another. And so I'm sitting down, Alan, at this table. I just finished going through the smorgasbord or collecting the food. and I sit down, like I'm probably trying to put stuff in my clothes so I'll have food for the next couple of weeks, right? Because I'm a starving actor at this point. And I'm sitting there, I'm eating, and all of a sudden, Alan, I hear, do you mind if I sit next to you? And I look up, it's Jack Nicholson, dude. And I'm like, oh, no. And now I'm like, I think that's the only time in my life that I've actually got starstruck. Like I literally was like, right. And he's sitting down next to me, and we talked about his Lakers for like an hour.
His Lakers,
yeah. He loved. It was like that is. I was in heaven, dude. It was crazy. And then I went to a couple parties at the Playboy Mansion for Midsummer Night Pajama Party, and so I was right in there, right out the gate.
That's amazing. I mean, and those two movies are some pretty big stuff there.
Yeah, Born on the 4th of July obviously was another cool one. So that was a real neat, unique experience because Oliver Stone, obviously, and he'd done a couple big things prior to that. Tom Cruise was the main guy, but that also had an A-list on it. Now, and it was like, Oliver Stone is a real tough nut to audition for. Let's just say that. I can
imagine.
He is. But once we showed up on the set, the scenes that I was in was at the Coliseum, where they play football at the time, and he brought us all in, except Tom Cruise didn't come into this, but he brought everybody else, and big actors, all of us into the locker room, and it was like a football pre-game speech. Like he was like, it was a completely different thing, and he's like, yeah, let's go. We're gonna go out there and it was that kind of speech, and whatever you guys are like, I've got 5 lines, and he's talking to me like anything you need, I'm here for you. Let's do this. Let's go. Like it was like, let's go.
He was making it a team effort.
Yeah, and then Tom Cruise is amazing, but he is intense. Like, man, that guy's intense, like in a good way intense. You know what I mean? It's like, I never forget when I first connected with him, because we were in a scene together, me and him, and it was when he's coming out of the thing. It was like the one thing I can remember to this day was the intensity of his piercing blue eyes. Wow. Like he was just like a freaking heat sensing missile, like just, and it was really kind of crazy cool.
You could tell certain actors. I mean, he takes it. It's not something he does just to make some money. He takes it pretty serious.
Yeah, for sure.
He definitely takes it serious. So before you got Port Charles, you did a small role on Santa Barbara.
Yes, that's a funny story. Yeah, so Santa Barbara, that was with Eric Close and A. Martinez, right? Yeah, and so check this out. So I was always positioning myself for stuff like this. This is how I actually went from an extra to getting more and more acting roles and everything. But so I'm in Gold's Gym in North
Oh, I
Hollywood.
had to look up. I knew Eric Close. I just had to look his face up. Oh, I love him.
Yeah.
He's a great actor.
Yes. And so, excuse me. So I'm in Gold's Gym in North Hollywood and I'm working out. And at the time I was really into boxing. It was with Mr. Blanks and I was at Benny Jet Center and I was training boxers and everything like that. And I'm like on the treadmill. Was I on the treadmill? I was on a little stair stepper thing. And I was next to the desk and homegirl answers the phone and I can hear the conversation. And basically the conversation is, we're looking for somebody who knows how to box, a trainer. We got a small part in the soap opera. If you know anybody. And I'm like, I could do it. And I go over and I said to her, I can do it. I'm an actor. I'm boxing. And so she put me on the phone and that's how I got the part.
I had no idea. That was great.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Had you, did you know the soap world at all?
Well, my times are, I think I knew of it because I believe, Alan, I actually got, was it not Passion? Was it Passion? What was that all big? Remember they were coming out with that all black soap opera. Was it
Generations?
Generations. Yes.
Generations.
And I'd actually gotten one of the parts. So we'd actually done some print work for it. And then something happened. I didn't get the part anymore. They gave it to somebody else, but I was still the face on the print. So I that was my first kind of getting the soap, but I've done pretty much.
And I just looked up the dates. It started 89. Yeah. So it was right before Santa Barbara.
Yeah.
Wow. Interesting.
Yeah. So I was almost in that, but I ended up being in it on the artwork, which is interesting.
Yeah. So funny.
So I think I've pretty much done every soap, Alan, except Bold and the Beautiful, Y&R, and Guiding Light.
Of the more recent ones, yeah.
Yeah, the more recent ones, yeah.
So what do you remember about the audition for Marcus on Port Charles?
Oh, for Taggart?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's funny, Marcus, I'll tell you this, you might not know this. Now, truth, whatever, but apparently, because if you remember, Taggart never had a first name. And apparently it was always Taggart. And eventually, when finally Marcus came out, it was after my son was born, who is Marcus. So there's that his name came after my son. So
love that.
We say, but yeah, I remember it well. It was an under 5. And it was, my name's Detective Taggart. I'm with the PCPD. That was it. That was all I had to say. It was a scene with Sonny. It was under 5. It was just a thing. And what happened was apparently the chemistry between me and Maurice was something they'd never seen before. And while they were shooting that, in the booth, they picked up the phone and called my agent and offered us a contract.
Wow.
Yeah. And that was and I remember because it was like, all I had to say was I'm Detective Taggart with the PCPD. And, to any actor knows, we actors that are working, we have such respect for the under 5s because that's the worst. I mean, I remember, I must, just like you see in the spoofs and stuff, because that's where those spoofs come from. I must have said that line 1,000 times and I could not get the PCPD. And I was like, and I don't want to mess up. I want to get it right. And you know what I'm saying? I was like so stressed, like so stressed. And all I wanted to do, I'm Detective Taggart with the PCPD. I just wanted to get that damn PCPD out because I couldn't get it at the time in my head. But yeah, that's how it started, dude. And then boom.
Talk about your relationship with Maurice.
Well, Maurice is my boy. We instantly, I was just sharing that this morning, there's something called chemistry, not just on film, but in life. And Maurice and me, from the word go, have had incredible chemistry. I remember walking, because I was a huge General Hospital fan. I mean, I grew up on that show, Laura's Wedding, skipping school. I mean, I was.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
My God, dude. I was a huge. So not only was I excited to have this job, I was, like walking down this hall. I'm looking at oh my God, that's Alan.
Was the show introduced to you by your mom?
I don't remember. I honestly don't remember, but somehow I got, like, dude, I was a huge fan. So, and I remember I'm walking down that hall, and the first person I saw was Stuart Damon. And I was like, hello. And he was like, hi. And then the next person I saw after that was Jeannie Francis. And then here comes this guy, Maurice. And, everybody was amazing there. And I was coming in, and, I'd reach out my hand and I'd shake their hand, and they'd say, hey, welcome. And they were just cool. They still are to this day. It's a very cool show to be part of.
It's the best part of me doing this show, Real, is hearing all of the actors who grew up watching Guiding Light, General Hospital, As the World Turns, and then ended up working there. It's got to be such it's sort of like me. I mean, I grew up on As the World Turns and Guiding Light, and then worked in the PR department, but you're working in front of the camera with the people you grew up watching. That's completely different.
Yeah, it really is. And it really is the coolest, in my opinion, as an actor. It's the coolest job in the world. General Hospital, the crew, the staff, everybody. I've been part of a lot of amazing things, full transparency. I've really been blessed, but I've never seen anything like the General Hospital family. It's
what has General amazing. Hospital taught you?
General Hospital taught me a lot, brother, because you got to remember, I started Taggart 27 years ago, and the personal growth I've gone through is beyond phenomenal. I am nowhere near the person that I am today, that I was back then. I was young, I was foolish, I was egotistical, I was not, all those things. So I've actually learned a lot, because I've gone through it. I was on that show for almost 10 years, and then by my own demise, I was off for 17 years, and I had to do a lot of growing and stuff like that. And now being back, and but what I did learn from the show, because I worked with Maurice, I worked with Steve Burton, and that was my main people I was working with. And both of them are very, very consummate professionals. They're very disciplined. They don't play around. I mean, we do play around as long as you know your shit. Right. You need to show up, and, you got to earn that, if you will. So I learned great work habits, which I already had, but they took it to a whole nother level. And then coming back, just growing again. I learned friendships. I learned, there's so much, because it's such a big family, that it encapsulates, if that's the right word, your whole life. Mm-hmm. I'm 58 years old. That's been part of my life, directly or indirectly, for 28 years now, 29 years.
That's crazy, isn't it?
That's more than half of my life, brother.
It's
and
really...
I just had a dream the other day that you know, it was weird. I actually had a dream the other day that the show is going to outlive me. That's the dream I had. I see the show going over 100 years.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's kind of cool, man.
I mean, it's been, the number one soap for a long time. One of the top shows. You worked so much prior to that, but working, I know from working there, working on a soap is unlike anything else. Were you prepared for that? How, were you surprised at the amount of work that went into a soap when you got there?
Yeah, because I'd done episodical and feature prior to getting a big role on the soap. I did some small roles on soaps, as we knew. But to be honest with you, dude, because of how I was brought up, I mean, I had great work ethic. I'm not afraid of hard work. So, and that's what it is. It's hard work. And we do over 100 pages a day. A feature will do 1/8 of a page,
right,
in a day.
A line.
You know what I'm saying? So it's a whole different ball game.
Yeah.
But I like it. I like, that is how I'm wired.
You're getting to act. You're really working.
Yeah, you get to work, you get to act. And no, I'm a family guy. And to me, in my opinion, everybody has their own opinion. And I've done it all. Sitcom, episodical, feature, daytime, nighttime. It's the best job in the world for an actor. You're working 5 days a week if you work every day. You're going to the same place every day. It's like a 9-to-5 job, but it's a job you love. So, for those of you that are passionate about having a family, I'm sleeping in my own bed every night. I wake up in my own bed. I get to see my wife, my kids, stuff like that. You go do a feature. I mean, you're different locations all the time. Sometimes you're on location for 3, 4, 5, 6 months. It's just, to me, it's you get to work with, quality actors. You get, like, right now, in my opinion, the writing, the producing, Frank is freaking brilliant. I'm just keeping it real, to all the GH champions out there, you need to all, like, not only give that man grace, you need to, like, because first and foremost, in my opinion, the show wouldn't be here. You forget he saved the show twice. Okay. And the guy's just really brilliant, dude. I mean, from a guy who's that kind of work ethic, I'm just being transparent, dude. I sit back and I watch him, dude. He freaking fires me up. I love how he's like this, like this low profile shark that just kind of just floats through the set, and he knows exactly what he wants. He lets things go when they're going right. If they're not, boom, he's there.
Frank's been doing it a long time. He's great at it.
Yeah, he knows his shit.
A lot of people commenting you and Maurice have great chemistry. And somebody was asking, do you sometimes relate yourself to Taggart?
Well, Taggart is me. Taggart is, that's a great question, by the way, whoever asked that.
Jacarius. His name is Jacarius. Jacarius.
That's Jacarius Naylor. Nice. Yeah, thank you for that. No, it's a great question, because the cool thing about acting is I used to have this shirt, Jacarius, that said, "Why grow up when you can make movies?"
Oh, great shirt. Love that.
So as an actor, we get to be that kid always. We get to be like, remember, as a kid, you want to play house, you want to play soldiers, you want to play that. So Taggart is the alter ego that I always wanted to be, or I get to be, and I get to have fun with it. Does that make sense? So
yeah, totally.
So it is like, I played other characters, but every character I even play, even though it's not me per se, but it's alter egos. It's like I got a lot of different personalities that are hanging out in my head.
It's so funny that you've played a doctor on so many shows. What do you remember about your experience on As the World Turns?
As the World Turns was another great experience, because what happens with As the World Turns, Ellen, is, especially back then, it's changed a lot. But back then, if you remember, you were either daytime, you were either nighttime, you were either prime time, you were either episodical, you were feature, a sitcom, or commercial act. You didn't do it all.
Right.
You were that's the way it was. And back then, the soap operas in LA had the reputation, and there was a lot of it, that, you know, if you were 6'1", blonde, blue-eyed, and had a great figure, it didn't matter. You didn't have to act, but you could get a role, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now you go to New York. Those are theater trained actors.
Correct.
They really kind of look down on the LA actors, because, you know, and rightfully so, depending on who you were or where you were. So now I'm in the, you know, in
Brooklyn. Were you in Brooklyn or on 57th?
Brooklyn. And so now I'm in the world where it's like, you know, these are actors that have all done Broadway and stage. And dude, I didn't come in that way, dude. I never did any plays or nothing. I just, you know, went right to being a stuntman, to doing acting roles and get right into it. And then I got into acting classes and that. So I felt a little intimidated, to be honest with you, at first.
Really? Okay.
Oh yeah. Because I felt like I wasn't.
Well, you were with
worthy.
You were with Colleen Zank,
right? Yeah. I mean, I was with some serious actors who
Yeah.
were like Broadway actors.
Yeah.
And well-seasoned actors. And it was like, you know, I mean, you know, they're like, and I'm this guy, right? Like, they're like, okay, Rael, can you move upstage? What? We need you to come downstage. I'm like, okay. Like, I didn't know that stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, that kind of.
It was you, Colleen, John James from Dynasty.
Yeah.
And Don Hastings, who you worked with, right?
Yeah. They were my main people, yeah. And they were no joke.
No, they're no joke.
Yeah, they were no joke. So, and it was a great cat. And then, you know, Mara was there, right?
Yeah.
Mara was there at the time.
Yeah.
But I didn't work with her.
Yeah.
But and I think I worked a little. Bailey, right? Bailey was there.
Bailey Chase.
He's done well.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, he's done well.
Yeah, he was Don's son. He played Don's son.
Yeah, but he's gone on to have a pretty good career.
Yeah, he has.
Yeah. So it was a great experience. It was, you know, for me, the whole New York thing was like, I remember. So it happened so fast. They literally offered me a job on Wednesday. We just bought a house here in California. They offered me a job on Wednesday. We said yes. I was on a plane Thursday. I was in, you know, New York City, where I'd never been really. I was on for, you know, wherever that actor studio is, in a hotel. They put me up in a hotel for a little bit so I could find an apartment. And initially I was like, this is so much fun. It's so exciting. The big lights, the noise. But I got over that real quick. About 2 days. Now, you know, back then I had a lot of challenges with claustrophobia, anxiety, panic. Now I'm getting like claustrophobic because I'm used to country. I want out. And you know, if you know New York, it's like there's no parks.
Tiny apartments.
Oh my God. They had me in a 5-star hotel. Like, they were taking care of me. Like, I'm coming in like, yeah, man, I'm getting like first class airfare. I got a 5-star hotel. I'm like, yeah, and then I get up to my hotel room and I literally had to crawl over the bed to get to the bathroom. Like, it was so small. And I'm like, this is a 5-star hotel? And it was.
I wonder, because I'm thinking of the Paramount Hotel. I have no idea. There's a lot of hotels that have small rooms.
Yeah, it was crazy, dude. So, yeah. So I got over it real quick. That's why we ended up moving out to Connecticut, because I couldn't hang with that Oh, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of world turns. More lived in Connecticut.
That's right. You know what's so funny? Check this out. You just remind. So Mara lived in Connecticut, and we lived in Connecticut. We live in Valencia. She lives in Valencia.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
That's great. So how did fatherhood change your life?
Fatherhood changed my life a lot, but it changed my life more later. You know, because I was dealing with a lot of stuff, being an alcoholic and an addict and all of that, which I was doing a really good job of hiding. But I missed a lot of the earlier years of fatherhood, to be honest with you. I wasn't, as present as I should have been. I was in many ways, but it's part of my journey.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I didn't, really appreciate it like I do now until later. Getting sober obviously was a huge part of that. But
I'm sure.
Mhm.
Any chance any of the three of them follow in Dad's footsteps?
They're all very talented. Danica's very talented in terms of dance and singing. Nathan is, out of all of them, I believe Nathan is the natural actor. He's very, very good. Marcus is, more of the pretty boy and, that kind of thing. And they all did it for a bit, but it's not really part of their thing unless something changes dramatically. They did it for a second. They worked because they're good. They're talented, but it's something that didn't click with them, and something that, yeah.
And Danica's how old?
15.
So what's it like having a teenage daughter?
It's amazing.
Those boys are probably scared.
Oh my gosh.
Scared of you. You.
It's so funny. She actually had I don't know if it's still an issue, not an issue, if it's still a thing now, but she did have a boyfriend that was terrified of me. Like he wouldn't, like, I'm like, because, they see me on social media, these kids, they Google and they go, is that your dad? They see me like running up and down the stairs or being like, and they're like, oh my God, I don't know, but whatever. Yeah.
I'm scared of him.
Yeah.
What helped you get sober? What, is it AA? Is there some, if somebody's watching today, what would you say to them right now if somebody was struggling?
If you're struggling, if you're in a real dark place, I say, and thanks for asking that question, call 911, get some help. If you realize that you have an issue, I'd say go to a meeting. Like, for sure, it's a game changer. For me, there's a lot of help there, and you're not alone. And that's the biggest challenge that we have until we walk into that room. You're not going to see the similarities, and you're going to think you're the only one, and you're different, and you're challenged, and you're a screw up, and you're not worthy, and you're better off not here, and all those kind of thoughts. So to me, the saving grace was AA. And the flip side of it is, if you're somebody who knows somebody but they're not really admitted, just be a good friend, because that's what happened to me. Is I had a good friend who and he was actually in the program, but I was coming off of opioids cold turkey. At that point I was drinking probably at least one of those big ones of vodka every day, at least one, with a whole bunch of opioids on top of that, and functioning. Like I was coaching online at the time, and I mean, just like, just crazy that I even, like, it just insane. But we could do it.
God had a path for you.
Yeah, God got me out of that. But the best thing was having a friend who actually said to me, he said, "Hey, dude, are you an alcoholic?" And I said, "No, I'm not an alcoholic." And I said, "I just like to drink." And he said, And he said to me, he said, "Oh, okay." He said, "Well, I'm celebrating my 50th birthday tomorrow." I said, "Oh, that's cool." And he said, "Yeah, you want to come help me celebrate?" And I said, "Sure." And I actually went in there to help celebrate his birthday, help him get a cake, and I never came out. And when I went in there, I was like,
Wow.
yeah. So I didn't even go. I still hadn't realized that I had a problem.
But that's amazing that it whatever was happening when you arrived at that meeting, it must have had an impact because
Oh, yeah.
you.
And it's interesting, Alan. A big part of it is timing, because I want to say 17 years earlier, because somebody told me, I needed to go to AA. I actually went to that famous one in Studio City. And I walked into that meeting, Alan. I think I maybe went once or twice. And I remember the same meeting, not the same, but the same scenario, you know what I'm saying? But at that time, because I wasn't ready, I walked in that meeting and I was like,
I mean, that's what I hear all the time.
I said, like, what a bunch of idiots.
You have to be ready.
Yeah. And then the next time I walked in 17 years later, I was like, I was home. I said, man, I see myself in these people. Instead of looking at the differences, we look at the similarities.
Wow. Wow. And you're putting 2 books together?
Yeah, I have one I writ already. And we just need to get it out. I'm doing another
and that's basically about your life?
Yeah, it's called The Real Life.
Great title.
Yeah, the best I can describe is Jekyll and Hyde. It's crazy, like, even for me, because I started writing the book originally. A good friend of mine, Kelly Larson, was my ghostwriter, and I started writing it when I was not sober, and then I didn't finish it just because I was a train wreck. And then about 7 years later, we reconnected and we said we needed to finish it, and I was sober now. So even that process was weird, dude, because writing the book, it would start to unravel, and going through being sober, stuff that I didn't even remember. And then when I was finished the book, Alan, like, and that's literally the vision I have for the cover. There's probably going to be like my head cut in half and one side is smiling and the other, because when I finished that book, I was like,
oh, I'm sure.
Who the heck is that?
My God, to go back and look at it.
Yeah, like Jekyll, like people who read it, who know me from the outside, are going to be like, what? Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about champion development. How did that get started?
Well, I believe everybody's a champion, and I see greatness in everybody, and I believe everybody has a calling. The sad part is most people don't believe in that or believe. So I believe my calling is to help people to be everything they were created to be. That's why I have that, you're important, you matter, you can do whatever you want, and I will believe in you till you believe in yourself. So I'm just, developing champions. I ignite the champion in people and help to bring out champions in people. And so that's,
and it's
really
not just from hearing you talk, it's not just if I was working out or something in that respect. It's in life.
It's life.
In life, right?
Yeah. You don't have to work out to be a champion. No.
Right.
Most of I choose the network marketing platform. I'm very passionate about mental wellness, as you know. So
we'll talk about what do you mean by the network marketing platform?
Network marketing is like MLM, direct sales, whatever you want to call it. In my opinion, it's the best platform out there. A lot of people to be able to provide for your family, to build a legacy for your family, grandchildren, and to leave a legacy where you can make a difference. I've never seen anything like that, and it's something I'm very passionate about. People ask me that all the time, Alan, like, especially when they don't, why would you? Because network marketing, direct sales, to people don't understand, has bad connotations. Just because there's always something, is it one of those pyramid things or whatever? And
that's what a lot of people would ask. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And my answer to them would be, do you go to church? Are your kids in Girl Guides? Do you have a job? Because if you have a job and you have somebody who's in a position above you and you can never make more than them, hello, that's a pyramid, FYI. Okay. But that's not how it works in network marketing. I can make more and do than the person that introduced me to it. And it's really just a platform where you share through your stories whatever solution it is you're passionate about, and that's really what it is. Change lives, and you offer solutions for people, whatever that is you're passionate. My passion is mental wellness, and I'm part of the first ever mental wellness company, Amari. It's amazing. And we have amazing holistic natural solutions that help people with all kinds of things, but specifically around, anxiety, stress, PTSD, autism, ADHD, and now we have this new amazing product, Edge, which is weight loss and all of that. But that's really all it is. And you build teams, you build tribes. I have customers and I have other champions that I lock arms with that have a vision, entrepreneurs, of not just existing in life, but making a difference and leaving a legacy. And that takes teamwork and it takes money, to be able to help with like my specific passions, Alan, are obviously, mental wellness, addiction, bullying, human trafficking, alopecia, cancer, those are, fur babies. Those are specific things that I fight for and, that I donate my time and money for and build things for. But, that takes money to help those things out there. And that's what it is, really. It's just a platform, like with our specific products, for example, because we're like a very niche product, gut brain axis and all of that. You really couldn't just put it on the shelf, right? People wouldn't know what to do with it. So it has, what I love about it, it's relationships. I get to build relationships with people. I get to help people to be healthy. I get to help people to be wealthy. I mean, I can help people to make an extra $500 a month all day long. Dude, help people to make an extra $500 a month. You can save a marriage. People lose. I mean, it's just an amazing thing, dude. And it's just because I'm all about helping people be champions, whatever that is, and helping people to be able to make their dream a realization, no matter what that is. That's pretty darn cool. You know what I'm saying?
That definitely, that's a good way to live your life. And then you started your podcast.
Yeah. I love my podcast.
What prompted you to start that?
I don't even know, man. I think somebody told me I should do one, but I sure love it, man. Because once again, it's like I just get to meet all the cool people, dude. And like you said, I get to, my podcast is called Getting Real with Real, and it was inspired by my pastor. One day he said, Jesus doesn't need no more preachers. He needs people to get up, to stand up, to show up and share their story, because somebody needs to hear it. So that's really what it is. I interview like primarily successful people, and we get real, authentic, transparent, brutally honest, so they can know what's going on behind when I show up like, hey, everything's great. Look at me. And
it's so true. Like, yeah. I didn't realize doing this show how much just, us having a conversation that sort of stems from the soap world, but here we are talking about addiction. There's so much that we can just learn from each other as human beings that I didn't realize this show would bring about.
Right. I mean, I love, you might not even thought about it, but it's like the Locher Room. Obviously, it's a play off your name, but it's like the same kind of concept, because when the football team goes out on the field and they go out there, and what we get to see on TV is all pretty good. Every now and then you get to see it blow up on the sideline, but we don't get to see what goes on in the locker room. What really happens, the fights that happen, the drama, all the different stuff, the challenges, the emotional stuff. And that's what, you know, in the locker room, you're finding here in my podcast, man, we get real with people, dude. There's people, you know, I mean, right out the gate, I say, take me back to 5-year-old Alan. What
That's
was it
great.
like growing up? And they get like, most people are like, wow, okay, never had that question.
I mean, it really is an interesting way to learn through other people.
Mm-hmm.
I really do. Conversations, you know, it really leads to us being educated, you know, about so many different topics. 17 years, you come back to General Hospital. How does that feel?
It's amazing. It's truly, how often do you get a second chance? And I actually got a third chance, thanks to the GH champions. I don't like the FANS word. But, you know, I really got a second chance after 17 years. And it was an incredible blessing. I really, you know, I made some stupid decisions when I was younger. And there wasn't a day that went by that I didn't regret them, to be quite honest with you. And I got a second chance. And it was awesome. And then all of a sudden, it was unbeknownst to us. We were like, yes, we're finally back. But it was only 7 shows, and we weren't told that or anything. I was grateful for those 7 shows. I know a lot of the GH champions think it was planned, but it was not. I mean, Taggart really, really was dead. They didn't have any plans to bring him back, but the GH champions brought him back. It was one of those stories where the FANS, if you want to call them, were pivotal for making Taggart come back a third time. You know, grateful obviously to Frank and the writers to be open to it, but it wasn't the plan. The GH champions made that happen.
Daytime champions are a powerful bunch.
Yeah.
They are a powerful bunch. We all have a lot of gratitude for them.
And yeah, I could never repay what they've done for me. That's for sure.
A couple questions have come up about who do you think Taggart's love interest will be? Don't get in trouble if you know.
Yeah, you know what? Here's the good news: is I'm not able to get in trouble because I don't know.
Okay.
And I'm not going to tell you specifics, but I can tell you this: as we speak right now, they are definitely testing out the waters with about 3 to 4 different characters on the show. That's what I can tell you. But
that's great.
And I would be extremely excited to work with any of them. All 4 of us have incredible chemistry every time we work together. So we'll see.
Amazing. My friend, it is so good to see you. Thank you so much for doing this.
My pleasure, champion. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you. You stay well. Say hello to your lovely wife for me.
I will. And guys, make sure if you could just follow me on Instagram or whatever at Real Andrews.
My apologies. I meant to put that up. Champion Development right there.
Yeah, or you could just go to realandrews.com. That's an easy one.
It leads to the same thing, right?
Yeah, realandrews.com will take you. And all my social media is at Real Andrews.
Beautiful. Have a great weekend, my friend.
All right. Take care. God bless.
You too. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for watching today. I hope you enjoyed the show. Have a great weekend, and I will see you next week. Bye, everybody.